Hey everybody, welcome back to Jeff Bowles Central. I play a lot of video games in a year, as I'm sure many of you do. I'm a daily gamer. And you know what? We are, if nothing else, 2020 is smack dab in the middle of what I consider a golden age of gaming, really, because we have so many good things that come our way as gamers every single year. Every single month, there's just good stuff. But even though there's always seems like good stuff coming, no matter what you play on, what your style is, what your favorite genres are, there's just one or two absolute gems that stand out. And for me, this year, it is Ghost of Tsushima. I love Ghost of Tsushima. This is like one of the coolest PlayStation-style action games I've ever seen. So I thought I'd talk about it. That's all. That's all I want to do. So whether you're taking down like a huge group of enemy warlord faction members, you know, you're fighting the Mongol hordes, or you're dipping into, you know, a cool spring bath to contemplate all the things that are spiritually out of alignment in your life, or indeed if you're listening into the wind to find your next objective. I mean, that's a great idea. Like, if you haven't played this game, that's something that's very, very cool. It's organic. It's like a feudal Japanese painting. It's beautiful to look at. It's simple. It's organic. It flows. You know what I mean? Like, if I want to find a foxhole, like, look at this. He's getting into one of these cool spring baths, and he's contemplating. You know what I mean? Like, I don't do that in Batman Arkham Asylum. I don't do that in Call of Duty, yearly Call of Duty. I don't sit down and contemplate and write haikus. Shit like that. That's some great stuff. So. My first thing is the gameplay, but really, what the gameplay in this thing boils down to is the sword combat. Absolutely beautiful. They've got some side stuff like this using the I don't know, what do they call this, a ballista or whatever. But the sword combat, man, it is insane, because you have such a limited window of you know, there's a fine line between being cool and looking great, and slashing through people, blocking this, throwing out this device, doing what you gotta do to survive in the second, and just being completely owned and completely destroyed. So, I give a huge props to this game in the gameplay department. Oh, man. Other really great thing about this game is the story, which is, you know, it's definitely an aggressive story. Apart from all the cool nature-based you know, stimuli that you get, it's a war story. Okay, it's about the Mongol invasions, and it's a story of revenge and familial ties and honor and kind of all these classic samurai themes. You know, like from a Kurosawa movie or something like that. And you know, PlayStation games, native PlayStation games, have a certain style, a certain gameplay style, a certain storytelling style, but this one really breaks the mold, because this one, they really spent a lot of time. It's an American game, but they spent a lot of time doing their damnedest to tap into Japanese culture and what that means. In a Hollywood sense, in a filmmaking sense, in a visceral gameplay sense, but in a cultural sense, in a spiritual sense. There's a really spiritual aspect to this game. The flow. Look at me slicing up all these guys. The flow. It's just such a great, unexpected, honor-bound samurai story. It was a real surprise for me. Last thing I want to talk about is the graphics. Sucker Punch did an absolutely beautiful job rendering feudal Japan in a way that is both startlingly colorful very alive, very awake, very full of its own kind of presence. But it's also what you come to expect from a great AAA action game. The way that the armor moves around your samurai's body, the way that you flow from one enemy to the next. That's a gameplay thing, but it's a graphical thing too. Because if you lose track of any of this, the flow is broken. The zen-like state, the meditative, combative samurai state, is totally lost on you if that basic thing doesn't work right. If you're out in nature, the way the sun, pierces the sky, the beautiful way this grass sways, the trees sway. I mean, this is all captured on a launch PS4. It's not a Pro. It is in HDR. If you can play it in 4K in an HDR, I would highly recommend it. The colors are just so vivid; they just pop. It's not exactly what Sucker Punch showed us when they originally announced the title. If you remember, at that time, Ghost of Tsushima kind of looked even more colorful. It looked like again one of those medieval Japanese paintings, feudal Japanese paintings. But I think that they kind of, in the end, split the difference between realism, between the needs of the hardware, and that colorful, dreamlike experience, that art, that beautiful, artful experience with all those cool, chasing the foxes to find the foxholes, and then the wind to find your objective. I just think it's such a cool, unexpectedly organic experience, unexpectedly fun experience, a very challenging experience at times, because you're just a lone samurai with your sword, man. You don't have much. You got a lot of tools, but anyways, if you've got a PS4 and you haven't checked out Ghost of Tsushima, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it, my friends. That's all I really gotta say. Oh, Ghost of Tsushima, Jeff Bowles Central. I hope this was fun and educational. Hell, I hope a lot of things. Wish a lot of things, like money, infinite pizza, things like that. Anyways, hey, do you want to try this awesome book by this author dude named Jeff Bowles that is called Love Madness Demon, that is about the demonic and the angelic and possession and like, past lives and romance and death and destruction and mayhem and heaven battling hell? It's all in there. And I didn't write it. My name's not Jeff Bowles. I mean, you can trust me. I wouldn't steer you wrong. I just realized there's a lot of Jeff Bowles branding going on right now. My name just appeared several times in a few seconds, so I'm just going to sit this one out. But trust me, it's a good book. Not impartial, maybe, but hey,